How was
Happy
vacation?
Friday. It was okay.
It was okay. It's always fun with family, right?
Yeah, it was good to see family, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. All right, so what are we going to talk about this week? So I was reading this article about Wi-Fi 7 adoption is going to be like 50% by the end of 2024. So do you believe that?
Um, that's pretty high, right?
It seems pretty high now, but there's a lot of reasons why I think that's going to actually happen.
It seems high, but I would definitely believe it. I mean, there was this questionable time frame of like, should I use 6E or
Yeah.
should I go to Wi-Fi 7, right? And I think people have started using Wi-Fi 6E, but just not a lot of people. So people are still like on Wi-Fi 6,
Yeah.
and I think they're waiting for Wi-Fi 7, more client devices to be
More
on Wi-Fi
client
7 and things like that.
devices. Yeah, for sure. There's not a lot out now, but they're coming fast. And if
Yep.
I had to, if I had to install a network now, would I go Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7? Now, there's other factors with the price of Wi-Fi 7 is high right now, but it's going to be coming down, right? There's going to be EnGenius is going to have a 2x2 Wi-Fi 7 AP.
Yep, we'll have a 2x2 Wi-Fi 7 access point. So we'll have two variations. But yeah, you're right. I think you'll see the pricing of Wi-Fi 7 start to kind of come down a little bit more, and the adoption rate will grow. I think the initially the adoption rate is like it's not ratified yet, and so that's always a question. And
Yeah.
there's not enough clients out there, so I'm not going to move to Wi-Fi 7. But um, they're supposed to ratify it sooner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the pricing will come down. There's more Wi-Fi 7 devices that will be coming out, so I think yeah, the adoption rate definitely will pick up by the end of this year for sure. I think I read like an IDC report that showed kind of similar like trends.
Yeah. So right now it seems like Wi-Fi 7's like cutting edge. It's expensive, but there's reasons why people are gonna want to switch. Like the number one is like the 6 gigahertz band is now
100%.
available, right? Like so
Yeah.
anyone that has mission critical applications, all the new iPhones support 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and you don't even have to utilize the Wi-Fi 7 features yet. You
right,
can just utilize like Wi-Fi 6E,
yeah,
and you're going to see huge benefits,
right.
right? You're going to use 6 gigahertz, you're going to see huge benefits.
You're unlocking all that 6 gigahertz frequency band, huge amount of free space there. And when the new iPhone 16 comes out, it's highly expected to have Wi-Fi 7, like the 15 we thought it would, but
Yeah.
it has
Yeah, and they're
6E.
they're like normal, they're like a step behind, right?
Yeah,
So they're
they're
on
they're they're
6E.
cautious. Yeah, they let
Yeah.
other people do it first and make mistakes, and then they do it right. That's how Apple does everything. So this time it's most likely going to be Wi-Fi 7, almost 100%, right? So that'll be a big factor. Everyone will have Wi-Fi 7 on their phone by
Yep.
September. So by the end of the year, they're going to be wanting to have Wi-Fi 7 access points 100%.
Yep.
And then the other factor is multi-gigabit internet is really like a driving factor for Wi-Fi 7. So
And we're already running into multi-gigabit
yeah,
networks, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Even at the
have
residential level.
yeah the residential level for sure. So if you have a 2.5 gigabit internet service, you're not going to want to run Wi-Fi 5 access points to save money, right? You're already paying for that internet. You're going to want Wi-Fi 7 to get that full speed when you're running your
Yeah,
speed test.
that's a really good point. Like, why, if you have multi-gig internet services, why
Yeah.
would you even think about Wi-Fi 5?
Well,
There's no reason, really.
there's no reason other than people, they see the cost. They're like, well, they think it's a commodity. Oh, Wi-Fi, any Wi-Fi is good, right? And
Yeah,
then they run their speed test and they're getting like 400 meg,
yeah.
400 meg like right next to the access point, and they think something's wrong. So that's a reason for the installer to use Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah, and that, we didn't say we talk about this, but multi-gigabit switching.
Multi-gigabit switching for sure, like because you need to basically get all that throughput to the access points, right? So 1 gigabit switches may not even provide the power that the the Wi-Fi 7 access points need. A lot of these are going to need PoE++. So we're talking 10 gigabit switches at that point, right?
10 gigabit. The 2x2 will be 802.3 AT.
Right.
So the power consumption on that will be not as much, right? So
right.
you can
so that could utilize a multi-gig switch with PoE+.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I've already sold. I'm seeing it increase already. I've already sold a few setups with the 10 gigabit PoE++ switch, ECW 536, and I've even sold some of the Ruckus Wi-Fi 7 access points to R770. So I'm definitely seeing. And not as many, Brian. Just calm down. So I'm definitely seeing a lot more interest, but I think it's gonna, the second half of the year, it's really gonna pick up.
Yeah, for sure.
So a couple new things that they added to the ECW 536. So they added packet capture for troubleshooting, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, that just opened up maybe a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I think I mentioned I was looking to do a packet capture and it wasn't there yet, and they added it to the cloud. So that's how nice it is. They can add features like that pretty much overnight, right?
Yeah, and we talked about it. I won't go into detail, but there's more features obviously coming that will improve like video conferencing and gaming and a number of different things.
Yeah, so that packet capture, basically it downloads a PCAP file that you can load into Wireshark or something like Channelizer 6, and like see what's going on, troubleshoot that way. That's like a very high level troubleshooting, but just the AI built into the cloud helps troubleshooting. I was working with a customer yesterday, and you look at the network and the AI will say there's high channel utilization, right?
Right.
And then you look at the channels being used, and you can basically figure out from there which access point's having the high channel utilization. You could possibly manually set a channel, or usually if you just set them to auto, then the AI figures out what channel to put it on, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and we've done a lot around like being able to set up the different channels and like what channels to scan and things like that. So there's some nice features in there where you can do multiple things. But yeah, the high channel utilization, like I'll call it a checker, is a pretty good tool. We've seen that in like university deployments, and like we've had to make adjustments and things like that. So it definitely is a big benefit to have.
Yeah, so if for example, that you have another vendor's AP like in your network, maybe on a certain, and it's on a certain channel, or not even an AP, like a device that's using Wi-Fi channel, right? You can go into your channel map and disable that channel altogether, right? So then, and then if you're using auto channeling, it'll figure out from the available channels which one to use, right?
Exactly.
And the main thing to have, like let's say on the 2.4 gigahertz side, is not having overlapping channels, right? You could put all your access points on channel 1. And they'll share the throughput available. They won't step on each other, right? You're not going to get the best performance, but you won't have errors either, right? But if you put them on
which is worse.
Right. If you put them on channel 1 and 2, then those are continuously stepping on each other and basically interfering with the transmissions, right? And you're dropping all the channels. Dropping all the packets, basically. Yeah,
you're basically losing connectivity at that point, right?
Right. So it's better to have the APs on non-overlapping channels than just like picking off individual channels and setting them on, because they're different, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. Like you do have neighboring networks, even in residential, and you never know what they're going to be on. So like if you're in an auto channel and you have like a controller like our cloud, understanding like what's happening and making adjustments to that's always nice to have. Like you can't, unless you're always going in there and checking, right?
Right.
And you're checking for high channel utilization.
Right.
So.
Right. It's hard to do it manually. Now, there are situations, like you said, like it's student housing or whatever, that you're gonna maybe have to go in there and do something, right? Like where it can get really crazy, and set some manual channeling. so that you know that the adjacent rooms aren't going to be using not overlapping.
They're not gonna conflict with one another.
Not going to conflict with one each other. You can put them all on the same channel, or on on non-overlapping channels, but you just don't want them conflicting.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So then that other feature you touched on, it's going to be called AVXpress, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we have a new feature that will be coming out, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, it will be called AVXpress, and it will be something that you can enable under the SSID. So under the SSID configurations, so when you're creating that broadcasting SSID, the Wi-Fi name, under there you have multiple menus, and you can configure different things. Right. One of those things will be called application control. And under application control, you can enable something called AVXpress, AVXpress, Express. And you can tag the packets, basically. So the devices that are connected to AP, you can tag the packets and prioritize those packets based on what they're doing. Like if it's a voice call, if it's a video conference, if it's streaming, if it's online gaming, you have the ability to prioritize that traffic from anywhere from like a general to fast to give me a little more priority to express to give me the highest priority. So like your video calls or your video conferencing is really clean and really sharp.
So I could see this being used in like a business where they have voice over IP phones, or they're doing a lot of Zoom calls, and they know that that's the most important, that doesn't break up, right? They don't want the phone calls to have latency,
Exactly.
and they don't want to have the video calls stopping or locking up or anything like that, right? They don't necessarily need to be running speed tests and showing that it's like the fastest possible that Wi-Fi can be, right?
Right.
So this is going to prioritize traffic, but it does put a load on the access point.
Because the access point, I mean, it's tagging traffic, but it has to be aware of what type of traffic it is. So to understand that and tag it, it'll take some load from there.
It's making decisions, but it's going to give you, in a business environment, it's going to give you that prioritization, that QoS that you need, right? That real-time QoS that you need.
Honestly, like you bring up a good point. Like how important, if you go and check speed testing, like how important is that at the end of the day? Like, oh, my numbers are looking great, right? But like, if the performance, like your video conferencing or something else,
right,
is not performing, like that, none of that stuff really matters.
Right. So I mean, if you're basically downloading a file with FTP, or uploading a file, let's say with FTP, and you're trying to do video conferencing, you may see like drops in the video conferencing. Even people sending email attachments, it may cause their IP phone to not sound so good, right?
Right.
So this is more important in a business environment than running a speed test, right? Or even in a home AV environment.
100%.
If you can explain to the customer, even in a home AV environment, that hey, you're going to be streaming on this 4K projector, it's better to have this thing enabled that's going to give you 100% QoS, that you're never going to have any drops on it, than running a speed test showing the fastest possible speed.
Right, exactly.
All right, well,
you really do have to set the right expectations and educate the end user.
Yeah.
Like in a residential situation, because it's like, hey, I'm paying for a gigabit, the fiber, and I'm not getting like the speeds that I wanted.
Right.
But my video is running great, right?
Right.
Like if they're looking at speed testing, then it's like.
And it's not going to be off by that much. I mean, maybe like you'll see like a couple hundred megs or 100 megs difference with these type of features enabled.
Right, exactly.
You're not going to be cutting in half or anything like that, like you would with wireless meshing that we're not even going to talk about.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, anything else you want to talk about today?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, that's good for today. All right, remember to like and subscribe. We'll be back next week.